is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon. So the Lions versus Japan game has just finished, and it was a much tighter game than I think a lot of people will have expected. I myself called it in the preview video that I thought they were going to win by 22, I believe. Spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't already seen this game, we're watching it later. Of course, I'm not going to be talking about all the spoilers and what happened in this game anyway. It's a match report. So the final score was 28-10 to the Lions. There was a difference there of 18, so I was pretty on the mark. I said 15 to 20 when I was chatting with the Rugby Guru, and then personally I went for a 22 mark. It was a little bit low, but there were certainly some odd choices in terms of why those point scores were the way they were. So I've never done one of these before, so what we're going to do is going to go through the match and pick out some of the key events. I am going to pop on screen here. This is basically the main events of everything that happened in the game, so that's a bit of an overarching thing for you as I'm going through and talking. So starting off, before the game, 15,000 fans allowed into the stadium, which is really nice, gives it a bit more of an atmosphere of something we haven't had in rugby, of course, through the Six Nations, so it was nice to see that. A lot of people, obviously, they're all spacing out around Murrayfield, but 15,000 nice amount to have in there, and even during the anthems, it felt a little bit like there could have been a really good battle. I don't know whether it was the fireworks or it's just Scotland in general, but the air was awfully misty and very somber as they were going through the anthems and stuff. Really fun to see. So let's start off with the game. The first 5 minutes got off to a bit of a shaky start. It was a bit all over the place for the Lions, really. They were very happy giving away possession. I don't know whether they were just trying to find their footing in terms of defence. We know what Warren Gatland and Sean Edwards used to do with the Wales team. Maybe Warren Gatland's trying to move that in also going forward to do more of the defensive side. So the first 5 minutes were very sort of heavy-handed towards the Lions team, trying to play defensively, giving the ball to Japan. A lot of kicking and box kicking, and the Lions' defence was looking very narrow, to be honest, because Japan's attacks were doing very well on the outside. Duan van der Merwe's wing especially was coming in very tight on that wing, so Matsushima was definitely looking for a couple of sniping runs. There was a very early chance, very early on in the game, sort of sub 7 minutes, because Conor Murray almost got himself in the try, ran himself out, isolated, got a little turnover. There was a big theme running through this game of players going for some one-off runs and ending up being isolated. Obviously, that team chemistry not quite gelled, first sort of main game together, so they're going to want to work on that a little bit. Big talking point, 7 minutes in, Alan Wynne-Jones went off with an injury. It looked like his wrist initially, but then the sort of after talks were that he might have dislocated his shoulder. He seems to be doing okay. He was there in the stands by the end of the game. He hasn't been rushed to hospital, so obviously they're going to probably do some scans on that. But losing your captain early on, big negative for the team. Ken Owens took over as captain from that point, but that's not what sort of player you want to be losing. 5 minutes later from that, we got to see the first score of the game with Josh Adams' try, which was really nice. There was a great little running line from Bundyaki, made his way through. Normally the crash ball player, the first receiver, killing players in front of him. However, this time actually took a great line, found a great gap, managed to really open that Japanese defence, and once they were there, it was a simple ball, nice little pop off to Josh Adams in on the right hand corner. So that was the first try. Conversion was successful by Dan Biggar, who had a fantastic game, 100% kicking across the board, had some great little run backs when he needed to, and just distribution was really good for him, really, really impressive. In the 14th minute, Japan almost managed to get that score completely back. Conor Murray had a charge down box kick, the ball bouncing back over the try line, but Dan Biggar did manage to get back in time and managed to get a good clearing kick out. He took him back towards the 22 area, so relatively good kick from him. Moving forward, another 3 minutes, and Lions back on top, really. Duan van der Merwe getting his try in on the same wing as Josh Adams got his, so that right wing for the Lions was definitely a great way to be going. It was a pretty simple pick up and run ball, really. The ruck went down on the corner, no one defending on the pillar on the right hand side, and bang, Duan van der Merwe going to go in. Difficult man to stop from that close anyway, and like I said, another successful conversion from Biggar. Did have 100% throughout the game. Injuries weren't over for the Lions, unfortunately. We get forward to the 21st minute, and Tipuric has an injury as well, so he went off. So the Wales contingency in this Lions team going out big there, with both Alan Wynne and Tipuric out. There's going to be some questions about who's going to be able to fill in where. But the Lions weren't deterred. They carried on pressing forward. Robbie Henshaw getting his own try in the 23rd minute. So, I mean, as you can probably see by the scale on how the game went, it was very much a game of two halves. Lions really looking strong in that first half. Robbie Henshaw's try came from the driving maul that was on a 5-metre line out. The Lions had a much more dominant set piece, really. The scrums were relatively equal for a lot of the game, but the driving maul was certainly in the Lions' favour, weight behind them. And yeah, just a one little off pass. Great line from Robbie Henshaw that we know he can do, as he does it for the Ireland team in that outside centre channel, straight through the line, and another try, and again another successful kick by Biggar. that was the only scoring that went on in that first half. But some things that were noted down as I was sort of watching the game is Japan's attack seemed like they didn't really know what they wanted to achieve. They started out in that first 10 minutes trying to spread the ball really wide, and it was really working for them. And then after that 10 minutes, they conceded a couple tries. They really began to shrink down in their attack and basically were just going for one-off crash ball runners. There's a lot of speed and a lot of power in that Japan side. However, the Lions did manage to defend it very well, managing to stop them on the run. So I think Japan probably could have looked to kept the ball going wide. There was definitely room for them to go, but they couldn't make it through. And then in that final 10 minutes, we did get to see a few penalties beginning to come in. Lions sort of discipline not working to their best. There was a couple in there. Duhan van der Merwe, again, another one, got isolated a couple of times in this game, trying to pick up the ball just because you're a big guy, trying to go on your own, trying to make that extra couple of metres, but going an extra couple of metres does mean you get shut down very early, and it's very hard for players to get over in the breakdown area. So it needs to work on that a little bit, but Duhan van der Merwe had a relatively good game for the majority in terms of attack, but again, that sort of defensive side still need to be worked on a little bit. Had a couple of sidestep from Matsushima getting around him as well, and then right into the half-time as well, Conan with a no release, and I think that was backed up again by a second penalty by Courtney Laws, right on their own try line as well, hands in the ruck. A lot of penalties coming in towards that end of that first half, but didn't concede any points. So discipline needs to be worked on, but I'm sure Gatland will be very happy with that. And that took them in at half-time. It was 21-0 at half-time to the Lions, so a relatively good first half for them. There was almost a third Welsh injury in there just after the half-time mark. Liam Williams took a massive knock to the head with a forearm swinging into his head. I was surprised it wasn't looked at a little bit more, actually. I think it was a relatively innocent tackle that went in, but it was still an arm swinging to the head. We've definitely seen yellow cards for that in the past. I think we might have even seen red cards in a couple of awkward circumstances for that. So I was surprised they didn't go back. Look at that. Was a warm-up game. Maybe the refs were being a little bit more lenient on that. Bundyaki had a really good game. Actually, some of the running lines from him were really good. He also got a couple of turnover penalties in the early part of the second half. Was looking very strong for him. Very, very surprising for him. There was a try 5 minutes into the second half scored by Courtney Laws, which got disallowed, which felt so harsh. He was so close. Again, the set move that the Lions were using there, the 5 metre maul from the line out, got right up to that try line, it collapsed on the line. Courtney Laws diving for the line, drops it just over the line. So that knock-on meant it got disallowed. It was a real shame for him. Would have been nice to have seen him got a try as well in there. But we didn't have to wait long. Tyg Byrne in the 48th minute getting a fantastic try. Someone that I really enjoy. He was my player of the tournament in the Six Nations. I think he's a fantastic player, picking a great running line straight through from beyond the 22. Had a great line, beat one defender and then ran it in. 3 other defenders couldn't get to him in time. Superb try from him, and again another successful conversion from Bigger on that one. So the first 50 minutes was looking very strong for the Lions. In all honesty, I mean, if you actually look at the board here, most of it will be Lions orientated for that first 50 minutes. And then Japan had a bit of a turning point. Japan managing to get back on the board. They weren't too happy with this. They were 28-0 down at this point. So Japan had a couple of nil breakaways. There was one that got right over the try line, a little run through by the fullback for Japan, went down the line, Nakamura kicking the ball on, and it bounced just over that try line. Liam Williams doing a fantastic job covering that backfield, managing to get that ball down, saving the Lions from conceding a try there. Very well played from Liam Williams. Around the 55-minute marker, we also had a couple of subs come in. So Owen Farrell came on for Bundyaki, which is what I expected to happen, him coming on at that 12, double distributor. Going to have Dan Bigger at 10, Owen Farrell at 12, and to be honest, it worked quite well for that second half in terms of defensiveness. The attack could have been a little bit more aggressive, maybe, but they definitely added a bit of fear into Japan having both them on. Jamie George came on, Cal Sinclair came on, Wyn Jones came on, so a full front row replacement. And Ken Owens had a really good game. I don't actually know who took over as captain after Ken Owens went off. I assume maybe Dan Bigger or Ian Henderson sort of took up that mantle. I don't think that was probably discussed who was going to take over there, but there was some really nice to see sort of more capped players beginning to try and push for the team to actually move on a little bit. There was a lot of pressure. They didn't want to be conceding points, so they did pretty well at managing to go over that, considering Alan Wynne went off so early. Until we get towards that 60-minute marker, Jimeno managed to get himself a try. The penalty going through, the 5 metre maul from them. It was a great tactic that we saw the Lions using. The ball came straight out of that maul. All the Lions dived in, Falatau missing a tackle, and a fantastic little leg drive going over for their try, and there was a successful conversion from the fly half for them as well. So it takes up to 28-7 at 60 minutes in. Conor Murray goes off, Ali Price comes on, wanted to mix that up, get some combos used a little bit more. We're going to see who's going to be taking over that number 9 shirt when it comes to the actual test versus South Africa. Multiple penalties to Japan was one thing that was going on here. Now, in that 60-65 minute marker, as soon as pressure's applied, conceding points, the worst thing to do is start then counteracting and adding on extra penalties. It was one thing we got to see in this Lions team, unfortunately. Penalty in the 65th minute, which Dan Biggar very cleverly shouted out to the referee that the tee was brought onto the pitch, I think by mistake. I don't think the Japan team wanted it. The tee was thrown onto the pitch, and the rules state once the tee enters the pitch, you have to take the kick. So they were forced to take the kick there, and that penalty kick was missed. But it wasn't too much longer. It was only 3 minutes longer until they actually got another penalty. And Tamura there going for a second penalty kick and getting a successful kick, fair enough, 28-10. But a weird call for me. I don't know why they went for the penalty kick. They were 28-7 down. You've only got sort of 10, 15 minutes left going for the 3 points there. I assume they just wanted a better score outcome from the game. Maybe they knew they weren't going to be able to win that game. But I would have liked to have seen Japan push on a bit, try and get a few more tries in there if they could have. Liam Williams also went off for Anthony Watson, who had a very good game. Very impressed with Anthony Watson playing the fullback position. Normally we see him on that right wing for England. He does play fullback, I believe, at club level. So it was nice to see him move on there. And then it was just 10 minutes of Lions defending their own try line, really. There was a very interesting tactic used from Gatland in here. Jack Conan going off with about 6 or 7 minutes left of the game, removing and putting the Lions at 14 men. There was no real injury, there was no cards. They just removed Conan from the pitch, take away the number 8, and forcing the Lions to play with 14 men. You know, these are things that can happen in these tests. Yellow cards can come out, players can go off. Too many injuries, not enough subs. It probably didn't help that there were other injuries along the way in this team for the Lions. So forcing them to play with 14 men, knowing the game was probably going to be a win, I think it's a great move. Get them used to what it's going to be like playing a team. If you have a yellow or a red card, you're going to have to get used to it. So they defended very well. There was a lot of penalties, obviously. Pressure is applied when you don't have that many men on the field. But they actually managed to defend for the full 10 minutes without conceding any points. And Japan got very close. Tyburn had a fantastic scenario, holding the ball up over the try line, stopping it there. Some fantastic tries. I thought Matsushima was going to be in at one point, had a little slip before Duan van der Merwe could get the tackle in. So they played very well across the board. So Japan really looking forward to getting that try, but they just couldn't get over the line. So the Lions' defensiveness was very, very successful. And the game ended with a lovely Wyn Jones turnover penalty that was won. They kicked the ball further down the field. They got into the Japan half. Turnover happened again, bit of loose play, and a pass came from Anthony Watson that almost got it to Duan van der Merwe, which could have been another try. I don't think there was anyone defending. It was a bit of an off pass, went a little bit too far behind him, and the ball went dead. Meaning the game at full time, 28 points to 10. So the Lions off to a roaring start now, doing well in this first game. That's what they will have wanted. Get a win on the board and get some players certified in there. Dan Biggar got man of the match, and I think it was pretty well deserved. I quite like now they've got the audience participation. The audience is actually going to be voting on who gets man of the match rather than just sort of some commentary people. So that was really nice. But there's a lot of positives to look at from this Lions team. Discipline needs to be improved, I would definitely say. The mauling and the scrummaging work very well, but it's quite hard to dictate that compared to like a South African team who are also really big on the mauling and the scrummaging. The defensive work looked very strong. However, broken play was certainly an issue. The one-off runners of speed, the Lions did struggle to shut down and definitely conceded an awful lot of metres to one-off runners finding gaps. And that's something that South Africa will be looking to do. The likes of Cheslin Colby, Mpimpi, Nkosi, those lads will find gaps and will make room. So that'll be something to work on. And as well, I think the tight defensiveness, there was definitely a couple of times where players were doing one-off runs and it was really tightening that Lions defence, leaving people like Duan van der Merwe, who's not known for the super strong defensive element, out on his own on that far wing, having to try and deal with the likes of Matsushima, who is a fantastic winger, and he definitely struggled today trying to deal with him on the defensive side. But on the offensive side for them, very, very good. Looking going forward was very good. Really didn't squander too many of their own opportunities. If they were going forward, they tended to come away with points, and we got to see in that first half definitely how good they can be. From the Japan standpoint, not a bad game from them. I think they'll be unhappy with that final score. I definitely think they could have got a few more tries in there. Unlucky for them, but that defensive work from the Lions was so good. And they've also had practice at the 14-man defence. So a lot of positives to take away from this game. No doubt I will hopefully be talking to the rugby guru sometime next week, and we'll be going through a bit more of a thorough breakdown of the game. So make sure you subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with when that video eventually comes out, because I'm really looking forward to actually having a bit more of a breakdown talk about that rather than a quick match report. I just quite like doing these just in case someone wasn't able to actually watch the game. You get a bit of a breakdown, you get to see a bit of the scores on how it all happened on the screen there. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. This is something totally new. If there's something you'd like to see me add in, if there's something you'd like to see me do different in these sort of match reports, make sure you drop it down in the comments. This is the first time I've ever done it. It's the best way to try and learn. If you have enjoyed this today, guys, make sure you drop this video a like, and to keep up to date with all the Lions information, make sure you subscribe to the channel just to keep up to date with all the latest videos come out. For anyone who hasn't signed up to the Lions Predictor, that's a fantasy thing we're running on the channel, and it's going to be great fun to get involved with. Next week is going to be the first game, I believe, that's actually on that fantasy. This one was just the warm-up game. It didn't count. That one is. So make sure you are signed up to that predictor for absolute definite before that kicks off. Otherwise, you're going to be having a difficult time trying to play catch-up. But I hope you've all enjoyed today, guys. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.